Welcome to Common Man Cocktails. I'm your host, Derek Schomer. Today, I'm going to do a follow-up video. Last week, the video was all about your essential bar building. So you want it in link below if you want to see all about how to build out your bar, all the stuff you really need to kind of get started. But that investment, it's a costly one. It's going to be maybe anywhere from $300 to $600, probably on average, if you wanted to build out your bar, all just investing money and figuring out the drinks later. This time, let's go through how to reverse that and build a bar more organically. I'm going to give you some tips to do that. My cat must be playing with some paper, so if you hear noises, that's what it is. So the goal here is I'm going to show you how to build some classic cocktails. I'm not going to build them all here because it's going to take forever. I'm going to give you links to all the recipes will be below that we've made in the past. But here's the organic way of building out a few classic cocktails that will end up leading you to being able to make a Long Island iced tea. And the trick behind that is the Long Island iced tea is typically 5 whites: rum, tequila, vodka, triple sec, and gin. So how do we get there without just buying a bunch of bottles so we can make a Long Island iced tea? That's kind of a pain. Hold on a second. This is the troublemaker getting in the way. My wife has a couple cats. This is one of them. That's Octavia. If you're a big fan of the 100, that's where she got her name. So this is how we're going to organically start. Really? So this is how we're going to organically start. We're going to get ourselves a bottle of gin. Now, this is a botanically rich juniper forward gin called Bombay Sapphire. If you like something more American gin, like citrus forward flavor, there are options like New Amsterdam. From this gin, if you don't like gin, you can do these in reverse order. We're going to need sugar and lemon, citrus. So let's take the lemon and some sugar, and we could create what's called a gin sour. Typically, it's like a 2/3/4, 3/4 recipe or a 2-1-1 recipe, which is going to be 2 ounces of spirits, 1 ounce of these guys, a sour and a sweet. That's how you usually make a traditional sour. Classics follow that paradigm. It's either going to be the golden ratio of 2 ounces, 1-1. You can memorize these and you just have them forever, right? 2-1-1 or 2/3/4, 3/4. If you like more sugar, 2/3/4, 1. You like less sugar, 2-1-3/4. As a traditional sense, we're going to go 2/3/4, 3/4. We can now make ourselves a gin sour. If we wanted to take that and maybe make a more refreshing beverage for the pool, we could create a Tom Collins. To do such a thing, I have some visuals, right? So we're going to bring, and these are all things I just have. So some stuff might be missing. I apologize. We bring in club soda. 2/3/4, 3/4. Top it with club soda. You've got yourself a standard Tom Collins. So we have 2 classics. Now we're going to sub out this ingredient and we're going to bring in tequila. But with tequila, one of the best things that goes with tequila just pairs well with it. Lemon will work, but lime is better. So, boom. Now we're heading towards more of a tequila sour or a margarita. But to get a margarita kind of classic and on point, what we need to do is sub out our sweet as well. We're going to take the sweet, we're going to replace it with an orange liqueur, which is basically just a citrus sugar alcohol. It's a liqueur is just an infusion of taking the sugars. In this case, it's probably just fake, but whatever. So you take your orange citrus liqueur, your citrus, your sour, so your sweet and your sour, and your spirit. And let's stick with that 2-1-1 or 2/3/4, 3/4. In this case, I'd go 2-1-1 because it's tastier. 2 ounces of tequila, 1 ounce of sour, 1 ounce of sweet. This is your classic margarita. But if you're like, Derek, that's not how you say to make it. This is true. There's 2 different things you could do. You could do a Tommy's margarita, which they apparently, Tommy, whoever that is, decided, I think it's a San Francisco thing, decided, let's get rid of the orange liqueur altogether and let's replace it with an agave nectar. Maybe because they're closer to places that make agave nectar. I don't know. Now you have a Tommy's margarita. But they're like, but Derek, that's still not what you do. You're right. I do a hybrid, which is this. So now you have the common man margarita. It's probably not, I probably didn't invent it, but it's kind of what I do. So that there's a link below for the common man margarita for all the ratios, but those would be your ingredient subsets for this. Now, organically, what we have done is we've brought in, just to pause for a second, you now at your bar will have a tequila. In this case, Siete Legua is like fantastic tequila. You don't have to go there if you don't want to. You will also have an orange liqueur. You will have citrus, lemons, limes. If you want this route, you have the agave nectar as well. I mean, you get a big ass bottle at like BJ's Wholesale or whatever you guys have, Costco's and stuff like that. You have a gin. So you can make gin sours, you can make tequila sours, margaritas, and you're expanding organically. Let's sub out our spirit. We won't need orange liqueur for this. Let's bring in a rum, a lime, and straight up sugar. In this case, I'm using Demerara sugar. You can just boil your own sugar at home. It's not a big, complicated ordeal. Again, rum, lime, sugar. 2, 1, 1, or 2, 3/4, 3/4. What have I just invented? This is called a Daiquiri. If you like your daiquiris more sour like me, following my kind of adjusted ratio, 2, 1, 3/4. You're making the sweetness a little less. So far we have a gin sour, a Tom Collins, a margarita, classic or otherwise, and a Daiquiri. We got 4 cocktails that we can master, and we can kind of almost memorize one single recipe because it's just the ratio 2, 1, 1, 2, 3/4, 3/4, 2, 1, 3/4, 2, 3/4, 1. Any of those combinations, you're going to get a drink that most people will recognize, fits the classic motif, is documented in classic recipe books. And again, recipes are right below. Now, let's change one more ingredient, go with vodka. So we'll take our vodka as our core spirit. We're going to bring back that lemon. We got our sugar and club soda. That's a Vodka Collins right there. It's the same thing as a Tom Collins, except you use vodka. So what you've basically done is remove the beautiful notes of gin and you replace it with the subtle, flat, flavorless product of vodka. So you basically created a carbonated lemon juice that will give you a buzz. I'm not selling it very well because it's not really that great of a drink. But it is classic. People do like them. And you can just make a mule out of this by replacing your citrus and using ginger beer instead of this, spicing it up a little bit, making it more entertaining and fun. But what? We got this too. We got this triple sec, right? Remove your sugar. This will be your sugar. Remove the lemon. Bring in a lime, vodka, orange liqueur. Get yourself, and I don't have this prop because we drank it all. Get yourself some cranberry juice. You've got yourself a freaking Cosmo. Now, Cosmo's recipe doesn't follow the nature of 2, 1, 1 or 2, 3/4, 3/4 like you can do with these other ones. It is close. It's 1.5 ounces of vodka, typically, 1 ounce of cranberry juice, and 1/2 ounce of your sweet and sour. So it's going to be a lightly sweetened drink, much more vodka focused. And then you're using the tartness and the also added sweetness of a cranberry juice cocktail to build out the drink. And if you're like my dad, you just do a dash of cranberry juice just to give it a little bit of color, and it's just boozy and tastes like vodka. And I have an entire playlist of vodka recipes if you want to see them, but the link below for the Cosmo will be there as well. So now, let's look at the big reveal. We have our tequila. We have a gin. We have an orange liqueur. We have a rum. Now we bring in a dash of soda. You do want probably a little bit of lemons for Long Island iced tea. And if you want, some people do this, you can use a simple syrup. Now, what I've done is I've kind of crafted it. I snuck it in here. I snuck in a sour mix. So typically a Long Island iced tea is 1 ounce or 1/2 ounce, depending on your potency, typically 1/2 ounce of each ingredient. So 1/2 ounce, 1/2 ounce, 1/2 ounce, 1/2 ounce of all your whites and 1/2 ounce. Then you splash on top of that some sour mix. Then a little bit of Coke for color. Sour mix is basically going to be a sour and a sweet. So we've got our sweet and our sour. Do 3/4 of each of these and a dash of soda on top, and you've got yourself a Long Island iced tea. Pretty nice. Now you're able to make a whole pile of drinks. But wait, there's more. Now let's say you wanted to trick this out a little bit. You want to make an adios motherfucker, an AMF, right? With an AMF, you're going to sub this out. You're going to replace it with Sprite. The sour mix is pretty much the same. However, an AMF uses blue curacao, which guess what? Tastes like an orange liqueur, except it's blue. Yet another cocktail for like a $7 investment and some Sprite, and you've got yourself the AMF. On top of which, you would now have a blue curacao. So you can now make blue margaritas, blue Tom Collinses, whatever you want. Anything, sub it out. You got yourself something that's the same thing but blue. So if you recap, you now have a gin sour, a Tom Collins, a Vodka Collins, a Long Island iced tea, an AMF, a margarita, a blue margarita, a Daiquiri, a friggin' blue Daiquiri now, a Cosmopolitan, And I probably named a couple other drink variants, but you've got 9 cocktails. You only bought a small subset of actual base ingredients. And from here, you can expand out. So now you might be like, oh, but Derek, some of the stuff you had in your other video link below was pretty cool. Like maybe I want a bottle of APEROL. Now you can go crazy. Take your APEROL, find another spirit, build out the drink, and you're probably not going to need any more core ingredients. And you start to enjoy APEROL. Then maybe you get a second bottle of APEROL. And then you forgot you bought a second bottle of APEROL and you already had a bottle of APEROL. So you bought a third bottle of APEROL, but this one was bigger, right? So these things happen when you start to create a very large bar. The best way to avoid such a thing is to just organically buy as you need. And which is actually how I created this. They're all just different drinks that always needed one new ingredient. I purchased the one ingredient and everything grew organically. So hopefully that helps. All the recipes down below, links to other videos. If you have any questions, comments, leave them in the questions and comments section, which is also down below. And that's it. We're done. We're teaching you how to drink.